And now for factoring polynomials. Whenever all three terms have something you could factor out, you should go ahead and do that first. So factor out a 2, it leaves m squared minus 5m plus 4. And then that 2 is going to stay on the outside while we factor what's left. So for m squared, we would need an m times an m. The next thing is, in order to get a positive 4, it would either have to be a positive times a positive times a positive, or a negative times a negative. Well, in order to get this to be a negative 5, we're going to have to use a negative and a negative. And then for 4, the choices are either use 2 times 2 or 1 times 4. And I believe it's going to be the 1 times 4, because that way, when you go to check the middle term, you multiply these two, it makes negative m. You multiply these two, it makes negative 4m, which is a grand total of negative 5m, just like it was supposed to be. And so that one is factored. So you could use the same idea to factor this. You could say, well, is there anything you can factor out of both those? No. Then, in order to get t squared, we would need t times t. In order to get a negative, it has to be that it was a positive times a negative, or the other way around, doesn't matter which order you put them in. And then for 64, well, for 64, there's the possibility 64 times 1, 32 times 2, 4 times 16. Oh yeah, 6, well, divided into it, 8. 8 times 8. So there's all the possibilities. But look, if we use 8 and 8, that will definitely give us the negative 64. And when you go to check the middle term, it's going to be that this is positive 8t, and this is negative 8t, which cancels. There's no t term, which is exactly right. Now you can go through that process each time, or you can recognize this is the difference of squares and just jump to it right away. Like if it was x squared minus 100, rather than going through all these steps, you'd automatically go, oh, this is the difference of squares because this comes from 10 squared, so that means it's x plus 10 times x minus 10. That would be better to just recognize it as the difference of squares and factor it as x plus the number and x minus the number right away.